What's up, everyone? Welcome to the ATK Spotlight Takeover. It is VIDERE esports taking on Elite Gaming. My name is Trinok. You can call me Jason. And with me is Nari Mizuki, also named Sam, and she's going to tell you what this is all about.
Welcome, everybody. Yeah, so this is the Spotlight Takeover, and basically how this works is you got a bunch of teams, all of them below, I think it's a 3,000 SR. You're allowed to have 1 or 2 players up to about 3,500, but if I remember correctly, the team SR needed to be below 3K. And they've also got some people that signed up to be coaches, so each team has their own coach as well. Now we're going to be moving into the rounds. It's just before the semis, so I believe this is a playoff round, and as Jason mentioned, it's VIDERE esports versus Elite Gaming SA. It's going to be a good matchup. The prize pool is 15,000 Rand, so there is a lot on the line, and yeah, I'm expecting some exciting things tonight.
I'll put you on the line.
I mean, what?
I don't know. I just said the first thing that came into my head. Oh, they changed the map. I thought it was going to Oasis, but we actually looks like we are going to be going to Nepal, and my voice went really weird there.
They gave me they gave me lobby lead, and I had to change the map, but I had to explain about the thing, and it was too much pressure, man. But yes, we are going to Nepal, and I'm just gonna click start because this is just too much pressure, man.
Traveling to Nepal.
All right, tell me about Nepal. Stop thinking about the pressure of what's happening and start talking about the pressure that these teams are going to face as they come into Shrine.
Well, likely a lot of pressure, and
Wait,
by
this
pressure
isn't
I
Shrine.
do mean this is not Shrine. This is Sanctuary. No, this is Village. Woo! Good lord, I've got to pull up my casting socks, boys.
Too many maps.
So
Too many maps.
Too many maps in the game. Yes, so likely these teams will be facing quite a lot of pressure. This is potentially a very DPS heavy map, and what I mean by that is something that we do see quite often is the triple or quad DPS setup. You might even see a little bit of May goats, but I'm not too sure what these teams are going to be running. Those are highly coordinated and heavily, yeah, like heavy coordination type composition. So let's give it a sec to see. And it looks like we're actually going to be seeing Winston goats, which is pretty exciting from EGSA. We don't see too much of the Winston goats. The Winston has had quite a huge buff to armor recently. He builds up his primal rage quite quickly, so it's really good on maps with a lot of high ground, especially against things like the Reinhardt and the Brigitte. And it looks like we're going to be seeing from VIDERE some kind of weird goats with a Reaper. which is a very strange composition. It's not something you see too often. Reaper is very easily countered, especially when the enemy team has that Brigitte and so on. But, I mean, who knows? They may surprise us and make this work.
Oh, they straight into the fight. Arctos going down, followed by I Love Mangoes. That's the two big supports out of this fight. And VIDERE not having any sort of mercy here, not holding back, it's just chasing down Domo, going straight for the Zarya of Primzini. And Primzini down, that's going to leave the point open, and no response from Elite Gaming.
Yeah, that was a very, very aggressive push from VIDERE Esports. They charged right in, and it was just so unexpected. Unfortunately, you know, EGSA were not able to get into the area quickly enough. Now they are going to be going up on this high ground once again, but they're coming in to an already camped out high ground, and this is going to get dangerous.
Yeah, a little bit of a bad choice taking up that high ground, but they couldn't have known that VIDERE's there waiting for them. Sponzy and Hemisphere popping off here, getting some early picks on that team fight. Going to put Elite on the back foot, but they're still trying to make something work here as they back off to the spawn area. Although Frenzy getting D-Mech is going to force them all the way back to that spawn. Going to need to wait for that mech before they can really do anything. I say that, but looks like they're ready to be aggressive and go straight into the next fight.
That's quite dangerous. They don't have any ultimates, and on the other side we've got 3 ultimates online already, with a Transcendence and a Death Blossom about to be online. This is heavily in the favor of VIDERE Esports, and I don't think that EGSA are going to be able to get on this.
Oh, that's a huge hammer, but a bit too much for the ult. That is every ult they had available, basically. Sponzy, the only one keeping hold of that Transcendence. That leads to a really quick team fight. Pretz gets D-Mech'd. Little Baby D.Va running around. I don't know if I approve of 3 ults being thrown into that, especially of them all being area control.
4 ults, actually. It was the
I know the rally was there, but I mean, just what they wasted. The rally was good. I think the rally was the best one.
The Earthshadow was good, followed up by the Death Blossom, and then we had the beat and the rally, which was really weird, and then there was a counter graviton from EGSA, which was absolutely terrible. They should never have used that. Now EGSA running through on the weirdest comp. I don't really have time to analyze it. I'll do it after this next fight.
Wow, BK7 gets taken out by that self-destruct. Nothing comes of it. Self-destruct isn't self-destruct. There's too many self-destructs. Earthshadow self-destruct still sounds the same. EGSA trying to get some control of this fight. They do manage to surround Pilic, and he goes down. Although, the Baptiste is in, trying to pop that immortality field as Naughty Monk, just trying to spam them down with that gun that he has available. Domo now makes her way into the point. This is EGSA's time to shine as they go for the point, and that's going to probably be it for them. They're not going to be able to get this flip. Oh, wait, I was on the wrong side.
Yeah, we saw a very strange composition coming through there. The Anna Mercy Baptiste, and then the Pharah, the D.Va, and the Reinhardt. And that's incredibly strange, because first and foremost, when you have a Pharah, you need a Mercy. That's how that works. Pharah, Mercy, every time. And then they were running the Baptiste, which could only realistically heal the tanks, and they had the Anna, which could have healed the Pharah, but I mean, all in all, it was just a very strange composition that didn't work together. It didn't synergize at all. So hopefully they come through with something that makes a little bit more sense this time, and it looks like they will be running that pharmacy. They're running the double main tank, so they'll be running the Hammond. No, never mind, it's going to be a Zarya Reinhardt. Okay, so this composition makes a lot more sense. It is a standard 2-2-2 Anna for a lot of burst tank healing, and they're going to be coming up against the Reinhardt goats, standard goats, well, Moira goats, let me say, of VIDERE, and this is quite strong. The Moira can do a lot to help out with that Pharah, with all the spam damage that's going to be coming through, but a nice big nade will start the fight.
Oh, Pilic pops up with that hammer, the big man in charge, going to take his team forwards, although they don't capitalize quite on it. Surtby gets D-Mech'd, but EGSA just willing to sit back and let VIDERE take this point. Really not the best choice right now.
Eventually they did get onto that point, and what was interesting, that Anna nade was instrumental in winning them that fight. They got everybody purple, and they managed to spam a lot of damage and completely take them down. As you say, it was a bit weird that they did allow VIDERE to flip the point so early on when there were so many of them. They were scared to engage on 2 people. Very strange. But eventually they did manage to get those last 2 kills. Now they are holding strong. Hemisphere has come back with a Pharah of his own. They've done a little bit of a swap up here. They swapped onto the pharmacy with the triple tank. Also an interesting composition to run, but it can work out. Nice bubble onto McCree, will get that high noon, and that's going to start off.
A little bit of an interesting dead. I only managed to get one for that, although that did allow EGSA to get some sort of semblance on this fight. Just stopping them in their tracks, although a huge charge from Pandoza might just open this up for VIDERE in return. Sponzy coming out with the coalescence, but no shadow from Billick is big, and that's going to open up his team. The barrage from Hemisphere not going to do too much for a losing fight right now, and VIDERE need to back up and rethink their strategy.
I mean, this is actually still winnable for VIDERE. They've got so many people on the point, and they're continuing to plow in damage. They're not pulling back when they know that they don't actually need to, and there's a lot of spam damage coming from Hemisphere, and the picks are slowly moving in the way of VIDERE.
Yeah, that should not have happened. EGSA had the control of the fight. Shouldn't have lost it so easily. From Zini is sitting on the rocket barrage, though, going to be looking to use it in a key location, although it gets taken out, and that's going to be the flip for VIDERE Gaming as they have to fight all the way back up. 70% on the side of EGSA is what they're up against.
And this is definitely a favorable fight for VIDERE Esports. They do have 4 ultimates in the bank, and they've got 2 that are coming up very close. No, but Hemisphere goes down to I Love Mangoes. And this is a prime opportunity to push in, because if they use that ultimate, but they're not planning to push in, then that is an absolute waste. Mercy hasn't been able to get the raise onto the Pharah, so now is the time when they really need to push in. Hemisphere is flying back at a rate of knots.
Once again in the fight, he's going to get the ult up soon, but 4 outs for VIDERE is going to be huge. There's a Graviton Surge from BK7. No real capitalization, although Hemisphere finally comes in with that barrage, and the self-destruct gets the rest of the value that needs to happen. From Zini, still sitting on this barrage, is just trying to fight for his life at the moment. He can use it at a key time, but he is alone and he is afraid, and there's nothing he can really do about it.
Once again, a serious overutilization of ultimates from VIDERE. They really know how to toss all of their ultimates out there. Now all they have is that Earth Shatter. But on the other side, we've got we've got the Graviton Surge coming through from Pretz, and we have barrage from Zini on the Pharah. And if they can combo those together nicely, maybe chuck in an immortality field to keep themselves up a little bit longer, then this could become quite deadly. They do have a chance. Not anymore, as I Love Mangoes goes down to BK7.
Yeah, that early pick on I Love Mangoes is going to be a huge loss for EGSA. Then losing Arctos on the Mercy. There's nothing left for EGSA in this fight. From Zini, doesn't manage to get that rocket barrage off. He gets taken out easy by Hemisphere, who was just waiting and ready. Pillick not able to utilize that Earth Shatters. Hemisphere here having a little bit too much fun with that rocket. Arctos trying to make his way back. One the Lucio is going to get onto the point. Just stall it out a little bit longer. Keep that overtime running. The Tracer's in support, but it's not going to matter as there's only one Tracer and Hemisphere is there just keeping the rest of the team back, spamming rockets into the tight choke that they have to move through.
They're really well played there to VIDERE. So one thing that I'm really noticing between these two teams, VIDERE is quite aggressive. They know when to push forward and when to actually engage in their fights. They know when they can still win a fight. And we saw a pristine example of that here when it seemed like they had lost that fight. You know, just before they capped the point the first time, it seemed like they had lost the fight, but they continued pushing on to point because they knew that they had the right picks from earlier in the fight to actually push through and flip the point in their own favor. Conversely, EGSA, very, very hesitant. Even when they get a good pick, they don't push in. It's almost like they're afraid. I mean, we saw they had 4 or 5 people alive and there were only 2 people left of VIDERE, and still they were hesitant to actually like push on and kill those last 2 people, and they did actually give up about 8% of the point in that little time frame. So that's definitely something I want to see Elite kind of figuring out, is that they need to have that aggression. It's really important. You can't be so afraid to hit the W key and actually engage in your fights.
Yeah, 100% agree. Just that little fear, that hesitation that they had a lot of times in the fights definitely gave VIDERE a lot of time to reform, sort of structure themselves and come back fighting. Like that one team fight at the end of Sanctuary, where I called VIDERE having lost that fight. They had lost the players, but they just kept pushing with the limited players and actually came out on top of Elite, who seemed to be backing away from the fight.
Yep, that's it. That's exactly what I was talking about. You know, they're too scared to engage half the time. It's like it's like they're afraid to give up even one person on their team, even when they know the fight is won. And that's so important to know for teams. Even if you lose one or two players, the important part is to win the fight. If they've only got two players and one of those two players manages to kill one of your five, it's okay. They all still have to come back from spawn. So even if you're still waiting for spawn for one person to respawn, the enemy team is still respawning. So it's not that big of a deal. You've got to be able to hit that aggression.
All right, we're just waiting on to see what the next map is. You know, EGSA right now, Nari. Obviously, I mean, we're talking about not being aggressive enough. What do you do? How do you change up your playstyle besides just going full on aggression?
Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so that comes down to communication. Okay, so first and foremost, you need to understand how a team fight works, and that sometimes it's okay to lose one or two players in your quest to win the team fight. And I'm going to give a great example. Shoes Money Crew EU, in one of their contenders matches, what they did was they sent their diva player Barbecue chasing after the Zenyatta on the left side, and on the right they had the rest of the team fighting on the Reinhardt. And this forced the Brigitte to make a choice between the Reinhardt and the Zenyatta. The Brigitte, then it splits the attention. So yes, Barbecue got demeched, but by taking out the Zenyatta and splitting the focus, they won the team fight. And it's the same principle. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a player in order to win the team fight and ultimately win the map. It's so important for teams to understand that. So that's the first step. Once you've understood that, then it just comes down to coordination and teamwork and listening to calls. You have to be making those calls clearly. Okay, guys, the enemy team is 4 down. We're winning this fight. Let's go. We've just taken out the Zenyatta. We have an advantage. Let's push in. These calls are so important and instrumental in making sure that you can win fights.
And they're going to be a lot more important as we go into Dorado and Escort map, where that teamwork around that payload is going to be essential to pushing it forwards and just being able to take the fight, take the game, really. If EGSA don't have the aggression or aren't willing to push onto this payload at pivotal moments, it could cost them the second map of the game. And I believe obviously it's a best of 5. So if they lose this one, they're going to be on the back foot very much for map 3.
Absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, this is, as you say, in the best of 5 matchup, this is kind of the pivotal point. This is where things start to really take shape in terms of how the match is going to go. There's the potential here to bring it back, but there's also the potential to allow that snowball to continue, especially when you've already lost the first map and you don't really, you start to kind of get in your own head. And it kind of freaks you out a little bit. So this is really where EGSA need to rally together and make sure that they, approach this next map with the same mindset that they had on the first map. You need to understand, you need to give yourself the chance. You need to believe in yourself that you're able to do it, because the moment you start tilting and getting upset, that's when you start losing fights. So let's take a moment and look at these compositions.
It is going to be VIDERE on defense first, so this will be EGSA's time to show us that they're here to play.
Here to play. It's going to be an interesting defense as well here. This is a type of bunker where you'll be running the Orisa and the Torbjorn, and of course you'll be protecting the Torb turret up on the high ground. You've got that Ashe and the Diva, and what's great about these two heroes is that both of them are able to jump down and then get back up onto high ground, so that they're able to contest. With Ashe, it takes a little bit more skill because of her shotgun, or the coach gun, but it's possible. And then of course using the Batiste, it's very difficult to run a bunker without a Batiste these days. They're quite synonymous. It's like Pharah and Mercy, bunker and Batiste. But it looks like EGSA are going on a sneaky flank, and they haven't really noticed, Trip.
Yeah, very well done. I love Mango's just distracting with that Widow, allowed the rest of EGSA to get underneath the defenses of VIDERE. This is their moment to strike now. They got to move fast and got to get on there before VIDERE jump down. But the mentality field is out from that Baptiste, and it's going to just give VIDERE a bit more breathing room to work with here. They haven't yet given up the high ground, but losing 2 is going to mean that they have to drop off and move away. Hemisphere on this Torbjorn, now alone and afraid on the payload. I don't think he's going to last too long on that Torbjorn, and unfortunately, that was exactly what EGSA needed to do. I say unfortunately, but unfortunately for VIDERE. Great for EGSA.
Pretty much, yeah. EGSA looking a lot stronger here coming through onto this map. I don't know what VIDERE were thinking with that strange bunker comp. Even more strange is that they haven't swapped off. Oh, no, 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 no. That is a huge misplay. When you lose that first high ground advantage, you need to swap off of your pseudo bunker comp and swap onto something that makes a bit more sense. They are actually going to continue to get rolled if they don't make the correct swaps. And EGSA are going to do such damage. I mean, I Love Mango is really doing work with that Widowmaker and taking down in one person so quickly.
Yeah, Hemisphere just being a tad bit aggressive, and in general, VIDERE not using their ability cooldowns collectively. Biter grenades being thrown out before the team's even ready to attack, and it's really costing them this fight. As EGSA looking to get onto that point. Naughty Monkey going down to self-destruct, not going to cost them too much. Although that molten core now being thrown around the payload is going to just create some sort of area control that VIDERE could capitalize on. Great Graviton Surge. Make sure that they cannot move out, but Bob was there and ready and waiting. And VIDERE once again won a fight they should not even have had a toe in.
They really shouldn't have won that fight, but again, it came down to a series of misplays. We had the Graviton Surge, which then the Orisa put a shield in front of, and the whole hog wasn't focused on the shield. It was focused on something else entirely. There was a Bob somewhere that no one was attacking, and all of these ults got thrown out in the middle of a very haphazard fight that no team were clearly looking to win. So all of those ultimates were wasted in the end, and now none of these teams have any ult economy except for Pillock, who does have that Earth Shatter. It's going to be very difficult to get that Earth Shatter off because VIDERE do have that Orisa. So they're going to be looking to try and make an opening for the Earth Shatter, and well, there it is.
Well, Earth Shatter down, but a beautiful play from VIDERE. Make sure that they can't really get anything out of that Earth Shatter at all. Low on health, EGSA are rallying around the payload, but VIDERE are looking to stop them in their track. VK isn't getting a good pick off, and Hemisphere with that molten core once again just throwing the lava anywhere. Bob is in the picture, and the ultimates once again coming to VIDERE's rescue time and time again.
We had the nano boosted Torbjorn, who then molten cored and absolutely melted. Like that was not what you wanted to see. And once again, this comes down to misplays in target falling and prioritization. Bob is staying alive for far too long. They need to kill him faster. The fact that they're losing to this Torbjorn bunker is very unfortunate because they do have a far superior composition here. Now, if it were me, I would swap out that Reaper for possibly a Lucio because the speed boost for engaging is absolutely huge. But other than that, they really do have a good composition that should be theoretically winning these fights.
Oh, Pretz. Should not be going down to that self-destruct. Yes, the bell was available, should be using them. Blazzini comes around the side with the whole hog. Gets immediately deleted by Pandoza with the fire strike, and it's just Pillock left alone. And he could not back off, he could not go forwards, and that's going to be it. VIDERE holding off a full hold after a very rocky start.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. I think they weren't expecting that composition straight out of the gate, and it took them a little bit by surprise, but I mean, they proved me wrong. I said they were going to continue to get rolled all the way to third point, and they managed to hold on to their bunker. But that just goes to show they shouldn't have been allowed to do that. That composition shouldn't work for that long. But of course, they made it work, and that had a lot to do with their own synergy, but also because EGSA just, they don't have the same concentration, the same kind of focus that VIDERE have at the moment. So hopefully once we swap sides and we see EGSA defending, things will start to look a little bit better.
Let's see what EGSA are going to bring out on the defense. This is their turn to show us how to use interesting combinations. And there we go. I love Mangoes with the Bastion. Going to be their own variation of that bunker comp. The Bastion Orisa instead of the Torbjorn Orisa.
Yeah, the Bastion instead of the Torbjorn, that's kind of a double-edged sword. Obviously, the Torbjorn is a little bit more mobile. He can set up his turret kind of any which way he wants, whereas I Love Mangoes on that Bastion, it means he's going to take time to set up or to reposition or whatever the case may be. They are running it with that Hanzo though, so again, we're seeing it with a sniper. And of course the Batiste, which is absolutely necessary in your bunker composition. They are setting up on this high ground directly across from the spawn doors, but it looks like VIDERE are going to be coming out on a pirate ship, and that's something we don't see too often. Similar to a bunker, but obviously it's constantly mobile, and oh my goodness, I love Mango's going down so early.
I love Mango should not have lost there. His Risa needed to be on point with those shields. And that's just going to allow VIDERE to just roll on through. Still trying to hold that high ground. Our EGSA. And there we go. Have to finally drop down into the choke point just to contest. Get some contestation on that. Pandoza gets revived. Going to just pop back up. Put the shield down. And VIDERE are moving forwards. They just keep it going. And EGSA have no response. Just being melted slowly but surely by Hemisphere. He pops off that configuration tank. No enemies in sight. It's another case of VIDERE being a bit too trigger happy on their ultimates. Although they do manage to get a partial team wipe. And it's going to be an easy run to the golden rectangle.
Quite unfortunate for EGSA. They just were not able to hold on with their bunker. They set up their bunker just a little bit too close. They weren't protecting their bastion efficiently. So for the bastion to have gone down so early in the fight and them needing to use that res, it was rather unfortunate. I mean, that's really the only word that I can have for it. What I was talking about, that whole hog, he was just focusing on the wrong things. Using your ultimate, you've got to have a plan. You've got to know what you're doing when you hit Q. Don't just hit Q for the sake of it. And that's a big problem that I see in these lower SR teams. And I'm going to say that because I believe that the average SR is around 3K. Target prioritization and target focus, all of these macro things, knowing where to rotate, knowing which compositions to run, it's a big issue. So unfortunately, you know, these guys, they're not running at optimal. They're doing their best and they are performing as well as they possibly can. And of course, we are seeing VIDERE coming up very strongly on top here, not breaking too much of a sweat. But EGSA, definitely, it's a little bit more difficult for them.
It's not even that VIDERE's outplaying them at this point. It's more, I mean, VIDERE just in general seems a bit more put together as a team. But VIDERE's misplayed a few times. They're not using their ability cooldowns well enough to justify how well they're doing right now. And the same with their ultimate. They're spamming their ults when they have them rather than using them in a more structured manner. And unfortunately for Elite, it's just not going in their favor despite VIDERE's misplays.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. One of the things to note is that VIDERE is not a new team, although the name is fairly new. We did know them as chronic underdogs for a very long time. And now they are VIDERE. They have been picked up by an org, which is fantastic for them. But that just serves to illustrate that they're not a new team. They have been playing, most of these guys have been playing together for a long time. BK, Sponsy, Domo, Hemi, they were the core of Chronic Underdogs. And yes, there are two new players there, but for the most part, these guys have been playing together for a very long time. Whereas Elite Gaming, there's some fairly new names here. The only two names that I recognize at all are I Love Mangoes and Primzini, and I think neither of them have ever actually been in teams previously in VS Gaming, like last year or whatever. So as much as I recognize the names from the community, they've never actually been in teams. So this is a new team, and it's evident in how they're playing. They don't know each other as well. They don't know each other's play styles as well. And you can see that the communication, the structure, the strategizing, it's just not there. They're trying to pull off compositions that they've seen in Open Division contenders, Overwatch League, all of those higher tier play. And this goes for both teams. They don't actually understand how those compositions work. And that's where their struggles are coming through. Obviously more so in this game for Elite than for VIDERE.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, Primzini, I mean, the team that Primzini was a part of, they retired in one of the South African leagues before they even played their first game. So, you know, and I know that after that retire, it was Primzini trying to reform a team or get a new team. So this might be the outcome of that work on his end. But like you're saying, it's just, you can tell that they're not all together just yet. And give them like a few months. Give them time to play together, and I can see Elite Gaming actually coming out and giving even teams that are in 3,000 plus SR. Obviously, we're dealing with teams that are 3,000 and below right now.
What I find interesting is that all of the teams in the Spotlight Takeover are meant to have a coach, and I'm not seeing that in this play style. It feels to me like these guys have just been kind of self-coaching. So it does make one wonder about the caliber of the coaches for all of these different teams. I don't know who's coaching each of these teams, and very often you'll find that even with a little bit of coaching, they'll still make certain mistakes. But it seems to me like they're very hesitant, they're unsure, and whatever they may have been taught is kind of going out the window in the heat of battle. But let's bring it back to Hanamura, our assault type map here. And it looks like once again VIDERE are going to be running this bunker composition with the Bastion with a Mei this time. So a more of a 2-2-2 style composition once again. And the Mei can be quite devastating on Hanamura because there is that one choke point. And if you can zone someone out or get a nice freeze off onto one of the heroes, then it creates a huge opening for you. But on the attack, it looks like we are going to be running another 2-2-2, but a Sombra and a Symmetra. And I think the Sombra might be for scouting purposes, and the Symmetra possibly to help them get onto the point quickly.
Oh, VIDERE certainly are just happy to sit in and spawn. Like I said, probably just scouting it out. There was one switch off, I believe. Pandoza no longer on that Reinhardt as they move up. Now, Sombra can be quite effective here if they can get that teleport off, teleport onto point, get past that choke point that the Mei can shut down so easily. And especially with the knowledge that it's there, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Pandoza going for the early dive, though, quickly going behind, trying to just land. I love Mangoes. The wall is up. Pandoza and Satpai are caught behind, but nothing is being done by EGSA to really capitalize on that. And now Domo and BK7 come to the rescue. It's putting Prez to sleep, gets rid of that Diva, and it's looking bad for EGSA at the moment. Although they do manage to get 2 good picks, and that's going to force VIDERE. God, words. Force VIDERE to go backwards.
The issue with EGSA's composition here, they're not running a Lucio, and they are running some decent DPS, but it's DPS that struggle to do any kind of follow-up. Oh, nice picks from Hemisphere, though. This is the chance.
Yeah, very good picks from Hemisphere. Getting the core of the bunker down. BK7 is on the point, just looking to spam down Kita. Riptide going in from Hemisphere. Might be a bit early on that trigger, as there's no one really left to use that on. Once again, VIDERE being a bit too hasty with those ultimates. Costs them a Riptide. They do get the pick off, though, but Pretz was already dead before it even happened.
Yeah, this is going very heavily in VIDERE's favor here. And that was a really good pick-off that Hemisphere did manage to get there. Quite huge, creating huge opening, managing to get onto point very, very quickly. Now they're going to be trying to go for a little bit of a snowball, but I don't know if it's really going to work out that way. Pandoza all on his own in the backline is going to get singled out by that Mei. Ooh,
being a little bit too aggressive. Mango's coming out with the configuration tank, however, just going to spam down. Not going to get much value out of it besides holding off a potential snowball for VIDERE, especially with Pandoza not there. And so now up to the team just to get out of there and make sure there is no stall.
Well, there's a good opportunity here for EGSA to hold on the second point. They are running a good strategy for it. They do have the Blizzard, which can freeze out a lot of enemies, but a power throw from Pandoza is going to get over.
Over the minefields, then all the outs get thrown out by VIDERE, and that self-destruct getting too much value for what it's worth. Hemisphere popping off, self-destruct going in from Fritz. It is going to find 2, but VIDERE are still very much in this fight and very much on the point right now. They still have Sponzy with the Transcendence if he needs to come in to save them. Although they do outnumber them. Blizzard finally goes on. Sponzy with the Transcendence, going to keep Sapphire alive, but he's going to get instantly eaten the moment he comes back, and there's the bottle grenade is on him. Sponzy gets frozen. EGSA bring it back slowly but surely and leave Pandoza alone on the point as Pillock just going to spam him down with that laser gun.
Really well played there to hold on to the point for so long, and they survived through the EMP and the bomb. They did use quite a lot of their own ultimate, so they have nothing, but neither do VIDERE. So things are pretty equal at the moment in the coming fights. Ultimates are going to be built up. BK7 is in the backline there, has been spotted out. So, ooh, early pick-off, and this is exactly what VIDERE did not want. Now they're going to be forced to have to regroup yet again.
Yeah, I love Mango's doing really well. Pandoza, once again, aggressive, out of position. Just going to get targeted. Needs to get back. And it just comes down to, once again, VIDERE not having trigger discipline when it comes to those ultimates. Threw too many out, looking bad into this next fight. BK7 does have that EMP, however, and can use it to great effect if he can get it off in the ideal location. But Mangoes right now is just being the thorn in VIDERE's side. BK7 in the back, waiting for the EMP to go off. He's looking ready to go. It's going to get charged down immediately. Has to use that transfer, get back, and Hemisphere's tire gets blocked up. Manages to get Naughty Monk, so this puts VIDERE in a good location, although Domo going down. Puts them right back to the start. EMP is out, however, manages to catch 4, and they're going to back off to spawn as EGSA trying to just regroup for the defense here.
And EGSA, even though all of them managed to get hacked in that moment, they still managed to stand strong and continue to hold on to this point. They are doing so well. And again, they committed quite a lot of ultimates. They used the Blizzard, they used the Nano Boost, which was really weird for me because they Nano Boosted a Primal Winston, which is probably the worst possible Nano Boost target because all he does is a little bit of smack damage. You're far better off using Nano on a normal Winston with the Tesla cannon. Will help him build up his ultimate that adds tons of damage. So a lot of ultimates wasted there, but they do still have the self-destruct. VIDERE, on the other hand, they've made some swaps. They've swapped up onto that soldier now. They do have the Transcendence and the self-destruct. Transcendence can be absolutely vital for May good push. Base it out that May wall, and now they have the chance to push, knowing May doesn't have it.
Bronzini is doing well with the May. I Love Mangoes coming out with that barrage. Is going to just stall out VIDERE once again. Looks like EGSA finally gathered their thoughts, getting back into this fight nice and strong. Although it is not looking good as Satpie gets rid of Kita and Naughty Monk goes down. That's 2 of your supports out of this fight. VIDERE have the chance to capitalize on it. Self-destruct from Fred's going to just get some zone control here and clear them out a little bit. The wall stops Domo from getting in. Satpie looking to get demacked, and there he goes. As the rest of the team finally forms with them, VIDERE needs some semblance of control here. They need to regroup and just think about how they're going to approach this point, because at the moment it's just frantic chaos of millions of different heroes running out and getting immediately spammed down by EGSA's defense.
It's a little bit unfortunate here. Every time VIDERE try to push onto point, they get absolutely shut down. EGSA showing us a different side to them now during this third map and potentially final map, but will it be enough? We're going to see a bit of a misplay here from Pillik. Oh, but the Nano Boost will come through to try and keep him alive, so hopefully they can capitalize on that, Jay.
Yeah, Nano Boost to Winston. He does go for the dive. He saw the Bio Grenade is on. Unfortunately, not able to get much of it. Uses the primal range. A little bit of a misuse there. Using it to get out of fight. Now has to engage in a very awkward position. Although does manage to get out. So 1 ultimate thrown away for EGSA. And 4, potentially 5, as Satpie comes up with these for this next fight for VIDERE.
It's going to be so easy for them to push in, and they still haven't used that Transcendence, and they really should. They need to engage with Transcendence. Now is the opportunity. All that the enemy team really have is Blizzard. But they're going to throw a billion ultimates here and actually get value.
Yeah, getting some value once again, throwing away ultimates just to get a little bit of control of this fight. The spawn advantage is going to mean that throwing those ultimates might not have been the best idea. BK7 could have held onto that attack visor for the fight to come. I Love Mangoes gets onto Storm, but inches away are VIDERE that they might be in a good position. Self-destruct does go out, doesn't find anyone. A great ice wall from Benzini as he uses that corrupted crease to stay alive. Pillik finally comes back in support, but the sound barrier is on from Domo. Pendoza and Domo get frozen, however, but they still survive. The spawn advantage not working out too well for EGSA at the moment. Pillik gets revived, but VIDERE are still looking strong on this point. Invincibility field is out. And finally, that's given EGSA a chance to recollect and get back hold of this fight. And that's going to potentially be it, as long as they can deal with a very annoying Hemisphere.
Oh my word, and they're continuing to come onto this point, and now Primzini has had enough. He is going to throw out the May ultimate, but it's still, they're still tricking on. Let's give it a sec. Is that it? There we go. What an absolute mess of a last fight there. That overtime, it seemed to go on forever, but EGSA did manage to hold strong on that second point of Hanamura. And it was exactly as you said, VIDERE should never have used that soldier ultimate in that last fight. It would have really served them much better if they'd waited for the respawns to start coming in, then use the tac visor to do a little bit of cleanup and ultimately get that third tick. Unfortunately, they didn't have any ultimates left once they had gotten onto point, and spawn advantage heavily in the favor of EGSA. They were able to get back onto point and contest it for that little bit longer and hold on. So now it's going to take a lot from VIDERE to be able to hold on here. But if their Dorado defense is anything to go by, I think they're going to be okay, Jason.
Well, we'll never know until we get into it. Unfortunately, both teams just love throwing away ultimates at this point, and it's costing them leaps and bounds, really. Gain so much ground for throwing away 6 ultimates, and you're going to lose it in a second the moment the team comes back with their own ultimates. The opposing.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a game of ultimate usage. Ult economy is so important, and let's take a look here at what ultimates we could be seeing coming up not too long from now. VIDERE are going to be running the exact same defense that we saw from EGSA just a moment ago, and that's going to be that Bastion bunker with the Mei. Coming through on attack here, we do have, once again, Winston Goats, and I'm loving seeing this Winston Goats, but I don't know how effective it's going to be against this defense here. They actually would be better off with a triple or a quad DPS to do some disruption and create a crossfire, but they might just make it work for themselves. They are just going to wait out here for their cooldowns to come back, and they will engage at any moment.
Hemisphere waiting to pop the wall, just waiting for them to move in. There we go, Prince now on his own, but the rest of the team does manage to get through, so that's going to give them a little bit too much support. But Prince gets demeched as a result. Kita going straight for BK7, really wants to get rid of that Bastion, although it gets taken out, and now it's just Pilik and Primzini hiding underneath the Bastion, making sure he has no shot on them. Have to expose themselves just to get onto the point and try to take the bell for themselves. War's going to lock down Primzini, and he's going to get spammed down, but he's managing to stay alive, and he's managing really well. Although VIDERE do get control once again, and unfortunately for EGSA, they just committed a bit too much to that fight and lost a bit too much.
Now, what I really want to see from EGSA here is I want them to come through with the Sombra. I want them to go under the Bastion and use line of sight, hack the Bastion, and just bunker down on point. That's what I want to see. They keep trying to dive that Bastion, but the immortality field, along with the massive healing from Batiste, is just making it absolutely impossible. Plus, there is Hemi there on that Mei to do a lot of freeze damage and put up a lot of walls. So, at the moment, this dive strategy is not working out, but it looks like they are going to try again.
Yeah, once again, just waiting for the Lucio to pop the Amped up, give that Lucio speed boost, does get them straight where they need to be. The Primal range, unfortunately, does nothing, can't dislodge BK7, who's happy to just spam down the free farming words. He was happy to just look at a Winston sitting right in front of him, trying to bash him with his hands. That's what he was.
Yeah, very easy win here, or very easy hold. Let me rather say, for VIDERE, they are holding quite strong here. And again, this dive composition is not working out. They are going to try with the Genji now. Hopefully they can deflect the Bastion shots and get him down quickly. But if they do that, they are going to have to make sure that they watch the Mercy, make sure that the Mercy doesn't get the raise off. That's kind of their win condition here. If they can get that right, then they can potentially win the next fight. But VIDERE are sitting on 3 ultimates, massively in their favor.
I will say this, EGSA are really well adept at getting over that Mei wall. Hemisphere has been on point with the Mei wall every time, and every time EGSA just floats right over it. Unfortunately, they float right over it into a self-destruct, and it ends their glorious attack before it even started.
Well, that floating is exactly why the original composition they were running was called floats.
I don't think that's why.
I mean, it is one of the reasons. Flying goats. I kid you not.
I'm done with you.
I'm not joking, it's the truth. That's why it's called floats. But we're going to see them do a different rotation here. Not a dive this time. They're going to try and dodge some of the damage by coming through this high ground. It's going to be a little bit more difficult without a Reinhardt. But, oh, there's that Mei wall.
That was a beautiful Mei wall. Just separated the two members of EGSA from each other, although not much comes of it, and they do manage to regroup and use the side there. Sound barrier is out front. I Love Mango's wall out. Gonna just trap Pilik on the point on his own. And this is looking good for VIDERE in their defense, although EGSA finally coming back. Blizzard goes out, Naughty Monk and Pillar get caught, but Pretz comes up with a huge self-destruct just to get one back. The Dragon Blade is out, and the wall is just the only thing that's stopping him from getting any value out of it. Finally getting rid of that Bastion. EGSA looking on top here. Now they have an opportunity to get those 3 ticks that they need. And I doubt that VIDERE are truly going to try and contest this or stall it out. There would be no point at this point.
Absolutely not. They will let these 3 ticks roll through, but they did only manage to get it in overtime. So only 4 minutes, and it sounds like a lot. It's really not, especially when you consider that VIDERE have the same spawn advantage that EGSA had on the previous round. And it looks like we're going to be seeing VIDERE running this cheesy Bastion high ground strat. And the thing about this strategy is that in order to defeat it, you need to have something that you can throw up there. A Diva Bomb, Hanzo, Dragon Strike. You need something that's a projectile that will basically insta-kill. It's very difficult to contest otherwise.
They're not even going to try to contest this as they move down through the spawn area. Just want to get onto the point. Force VIDERE to come down to their level. BK7 Ira with the configuration tank gets rid of Naughty Monk, and now EGSA not in a great position as they do move on to point, going for Satpie, but right underneath the watchful eye of BK7 might not be the best idea. EGSA trying everything they can to get onto this point. Pillock with the Primal Rage gets removed, and I Love Mango's not looking any better as Kita's the last remaining member on the point, and a little baby Diva left to have no mother to cry to.
Well, once again, what do I want to see from EGSA? I want to see a Sombra so that they can get a nice EMP off on that high ground. You translocate up, you EMP so that you can't shield that Bastion, and then you throw in a self-destruct or a Dragon Strike, preferably a self-destruct since you already have that Diva, and then you win.
What do they call that area that they're on? Cuckoo's Nest?
I haven't a clue.
It's got a cool name that I always forget.
I've never actually heard it called anything.
Perch. It's called Perch.
Okay, there you go. How is that a funny name?
Well, because the one across from it is called Balcony. That's a normal name.
Okay. That's fine.
It's a Perch
So
defense.
moving swiftly along, they do have a whole lot of ultimates here on the defense. They're about to have the configuration tank yet again.
Oh, but Prinzini does manage to get behind and is still looking to get rid of the Bastion. Does get removed by Hemisphere, who's popping off. Mangos is down. The Genji's not there. EGSA, this is not what you want to see if you want to be winning this map. They only need 2 ticks and a bit, but unfortunately they're trying the same strategy. They're doing nothing to remove the high ground threat, that Perch defense that VIDERE are happy to hold. Sitting with 5 ultimates, VIDERE known to just throw them away at a moment's notice. Let's hope they hold on to them because they're in a great position to win this fight without them.
They do have the Dragon Blade, which could really help out, but as you say, they have a billion ultimates on the other side here. VIDERE looking insanely strong. EGSA, I don't see how they're going to be able to actually get onto this point. They're just kind of chilling in the back here. Not too sure what their game plan is. Okay, a nice beat to get them onto the point. There's that Dragon Blade.
Yes, sound barrier. With the amp it up, gets them onto the point. Beautiful self-destruct, beautiful out usage from EGSA, although countered by VIDERE's own out usage. Configuration tank throwing out all those ultimates once again. VIDERE not wanting to lose this fight. The big ass shield is up, and the wall of doom could spell the end of EGSA's dreams of winning this point. Final fight territory now, Sam. What do EGSA do here?
I mean, at this point, with 30 seconds left, there's not much they can do. They have no ultimates. They've just swapped over onto the Hanzo, and it's probably too little too late. They're going to try and build up a Dragon Strike and annihilate what's going on up on that point there, but it's not going to work. I suspect VIDERE are going to hold strong. It's way too late now to be trying to make any swaps that will make any sort of a dent in this composition that VIDERE are running.
VIDERE doing fantastically there to switch between Perch and Balcony. And while I'm talking about that, a C9 goes down. I thought maybe one member of EGSA would put a pinky toe on the point, but it didn't happen. And that's going to be it. VIDERE Gaming winning this Spotlight matchup 3-0.
3-0. Yep. They They did really well. They were clearly the superior team today. They had very decent compositions. I was actually impressed with what I was seeing from them. The compositions that they were rolling out with actually looked like workable, realistic compositions. We had that perch defense, as you were saying. We saw a little bit of Winston goats. It was comps that made sense. So that makes me quite happy. I'm happy to see that the ZA teams are moving towards compositions that synergize well with each other and not just, picking a bunch of heroes that you think will do something. I don't know.
What's with all the bunnies?
I don't know, to be honest. It must be a thing. Easter? It must be because of Easter.
Too many bunnies.
You can never have too many bunnies, Jason.
You're not wrong.
I know. But I think that's probably it from us for tonight. Thank you everybody for watching the ATK Spotlight Takeover, Elite Gaming versus VIDERE Esports. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been Nari Mizuki and Jason has been Trinok. And
Why do
we'll
you always
see you
take
guys.
my job?
What do you mean?
I'm the action. I'm the play-by-play. That's my
wanna
job.
Okay, do you want to do it?
I do want to do it. You always do it, and I always go. That's my job.
Okay, do it.
I'm gonna. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for watching today's ATK Arena Spotlight Takeover. VIDERE Gaming taking this one 3-0, so they're gonna go through to the next round. Stay tuned. Check out the ATK Twitter. Don't stay tuned, but stay with your eyes glued to the ATK Twitter and all ATK social media platforms, because they're going to tell you what's happening and when the next game is. And we'll see you next time. I am Trinok. Thank you for watching. And Nari will say goodbye now.
You see, that's why I do it. Goodbye, everybody.